What's up, everybody? So today's reaction was recorded live on my live stream, which will be in the links down below. I stream every day from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, so if you want to drop in, we stream Fortnite, Destiny, and reaction content, of course, too. So if that interests you, feel free to hit the subscribe button, hit like, and I'll see you on the reaction. Oh, also, I'm under the weather right now, so I'm sorry I'm a little stuffly, but, you know, content doesn't make itself. Gotta do what you gotta do.
Lightfall has been quite a polarizing expansion, to say the least. I'm sure you've seen the criticism, so I'm not going to repeat what's already been said a million times. Story bad, gameplay good. But I did want to point out some interesting behind the scenes things that explain why Lightfall is the way it is. And in typical fashion, I've gathered a bunch of topics we're going to talk about in this video. So it's clear this expansion wasn't part of Bungie's original plan. This release, called Lightfall, was essentially renamed and pushed into become Final Shape, and the expansion we got, called Lightfall, is basically an interlude.
So, original plan, Beyond Light, Witch Queen, Lightfall, the Final Shape. Beyond Light, Witch Queen. Wait. What's the difference? Like, it's the same thing, is it not?
With the content that wasn't ready in time for Witch Queen or wouldn't fit into Final Shape. So if we do a bit of digging and detect...
Wait. New plan, not 2021. But that's literally... whatever.
That wasn't ready in time for Witch Queen or wouldn't fit into Final Shape. So if we do a bit of digging and detective work, we can actually see how Bungie stitched this DLC together, and also what it means for the Final Shape expansion, the big conclusion. Because while Lightfall has definitely not been best received, there is a silver lining which I'll get onto. So back in 2020, Bungie announced these 3 expansions for Destiny 2, and that they wouldn't be making Destiny 3 anymore. Instead, these 3 chapters were the content they had been working on for Destiny 3, which they scrapped after the Activision split.
That's crazy. I wonder if they're gonna make a Destiny 3 now after the Activision split and they've gone into their own kind of separate entity, whatever they've split off into. I didn't ever realize that they were gonna make a Destiny 3 in the past with these DLCs. I thought that it was always the plan to do this way for this long. Hopefully, after the Final Shape and the Light versus Dark 10-year arc finishes up, we're gonna be going into that. Whatever else, excuse me, whatever else Destiny 3 might be, or whatever else the story of Destiny could delve into, like the 9. I feel like the 9 would be a really cool topic. Like, we've kind of touched on it a little bit, and I have my theories personally on what the 9 could be, and they could be very stupid theories because I have very subpar knowledge on the Destiny universe as a whole. However, I feel like the 9 could be like the 9 planets of the Soul universe or Soul galaxy that they are in. I can't remember off the top of my head how many planets are in there. Let's see. We got Earth, Europia, Nexus, Saturn, Moon. So I don't think there's 9 in there, at least not yet, but there could be 9 overall, and that could be like the 9 entities that the 9 are. I feel like that would be pretty cool. But whoever knows. The amount of DLC is insane for this game. It literally has 2 games worth of game. It has more than 2 games worth of content in a singular game. I mean, sure, look at World of Warcraft and stuff like that. Those games have been going on for longer than Destiny, have a bunch of expansion packs. But Destiny's not really an MMO in that same regard. It's more of an in-between. And so they really need to have more... I feel like 5 years, 6 years is too long. Every 3 years to have a game would be pretty dope for a new game. That would let you have like 1 year for the game to come out, 2 years for DLC, and then the next game.
A year later, they announced they needed to delay the Witch Queen until the next year, and more importantly, in their own words, add an additional 4th chapter called Final Shape. But they worded it as if they had so much story to tell they needed to add an additional expansion. But now it seems clear that Lightfall is the additional expansion. Probably the biggest giveaway that a lot of people notice is the opening cutscene has the Vanguard stood here when the blast doors close, and then the entire events of Lightfall on Neptune happen. And after all that, the end cutscene starts, and the Vanguard is still stood here in the exact same spot as if time froze and only a few seconds have passed between the first and last cutscene. And the Vanguard does absolutely nothing the entire campaign. We don't see them at all or hear from them. When the stakes are an all-time high, the worst thing that could possibly happen is
That's
happening.
true.
This Megamind supervillain has come to basically
I never realized that, like, because I was just so tied in with the new characters and Osiris. Why were the Vanguard not down here helping us, learning the strand with us? Like, what the fuck? Shouldn't the defenders of this universe, this galaxy, the defenders of light, be down here and not just standing in the same spot, defending a blank wall? Make that make sense.
end all life in the universe, but all these characters with crazy superpowers that stand
Those visuals look so cool. I love that. It looks so sick.
here waiting for us to mess around on Neptune. Essentially, you could cut the entire Lightfall story and the Veil out of this game, and this plays out as if it was one continuous cutscene where the Witness shows up, opens a portal into the Traveler, and then goes in. That would have been the original intro to the original Lightfall, but instead it's as if this cutscene got paused and all the events of Neptune happen, and then it resumes at the end.
That's crazy. Like what? I never realized. I never realized that. What the fuck? So, the next expansion pack that comes out is really the full insane. It's insane.
Is that it's
Mental.
called Lightfall, but the light doesn't actually fall. Back when they named it Lightfall, it was going to be the second collapse where we lose, but clearly the name doesn't fit as we still have the light. Nothing's really changed with the Traveler, even though the Vanguard act like it's dead. It's just moved out further into space. We didn't lose anything at all. Nothing has changed for us. I think it would have saved a lot of confusion if they had renamed Lightfall to something else to kind of match the spin-off Neptune story, but I get that probably would have been even more confusing. But I think the issue a lot of people have is that Lightfall isn't the one that was initially advertised, and that's what caused everyone's natural reaction to be a bit confused that nothing really eventful happened in the campaign. Now, there's also a ton of evidence that Strand was meant to be in Witch Queen, which isn't really...
That shit looks insane. Like, we don't have anything like that with the Strand. Summoning dragons and balls and squids. We have a little bit like that, but not the roaches and on that level. That looks
surprising.
insane.
Originally, there were 3 expansions, each with a new Darkness subclass, and that was the plan for D3. But before the final shape existed, of course, the Witch Queen would have had a green subclass. In the Witch Queen, the Pyramid Relic randomly gave us this Deep Sight ability, this Psychic Darkness power. It's obvious this would have originally been Strand, the same way in Beyond Light, the Pyramid gives us Stasis, the first Darkness subclass. Originally, the Relic would have been the same as the Ziggurat on Europa to give us powers, but instead it got changed to be about weapon crafting. This is why Strand doesn't really fit as a Darkness subclass or into Neptune or the story. It seems very shoehorned is what a lot of people are pointing out, but we literally find it in an alleyway and just pick it up for
It
no
is a wild
apparent
game.
reason.
I love
No
Destiny.
Pyramid gave it to us. It wasn't a gift. Strand is supposed to be a Darkness subclass, and the Veil is supposed to be related to the Traveler, which is of course light. So what does Strand have to do with the Veil or Neptune or the Darkness? It doesn't really seem related. I think this is kind of like a plot hole that doesn't match up from when they moved it to Witch Queen, but if there was a pyramid here or a relic, it would make sense, but Strand is just in this street for no apparent reason. So
I don't care. This Strand is fun as hell. I'm so glad it's in the game. It would have been cool if it was in the Witch Queen for sure, but I'm glad it's here now.
in the Witch Queen, they replaced Strand with Deep Sight, which they advertised if it was supposed to be something important, like a big deal. Gameplay wise, it was basically a way to reveal hidden platforms, so it makes sense this would have originally been the grapple mechanic to get there instead. But you can even see Strand and Deep Sight actually have the same animation with that light beam coming out from their head.
Wow.
The Warlock Strand subclass logos all over the Witch Queen armor, which is definitely a big giveaway. In the final mission, it's all about threads. There are threads everywhere. You get the Thread Cutter buff. The wizards are called Thread Weavers, and when Savathun hits you, the debuff is called Thread Bounds.
I mean, that's kind of a dead giveaway. That the Strand was definitely supposed to be a Witch Queen. What the fuck?
So the terminology is still there. If you go back even further, it seems that Strand would have originally been a poison subclass, which fit the Witch Queen theme
Fits
a lot
green
more.
too.
And seems like the obvious move for the amount of poison gear they added. You got the necrotic grips and the osteostriga, and of
That's a
course
cool
the
gun.
original thorn. Interestingly, in the Guardian rank 7, you can see it says infested rounds instead of unraveling rounds. So this is clearly a bug from when it used to be a poison subclass. But they forgot to change it from infested to unraveling. So this is definitely a leftover asset. But I think they realized that poison would have been very similar to
What's a really good single-player campaign game I should play?
the solar burning damage over time and the void suppress weaken effect.
I'll pause this real quick. I would say if you haven't played Spec Ops: The Line, you should play that if you're looking for a shooter. If you're looking for a single player like hack and slash, I would say The Witcher. The Witcher's super fun. Um, or Dark Souls, Elden Ring. If you haven't played Elden Ring yet, you need to play Elden Ring. So Elden Ring or Spec Ops: The Line. Those are your two games you should play. Dude, that game's insane. I've only played it once. I need to replay it as well. That game was insane.
So they probably decided to make it a bit more interesting and different, and I do think this ended up being the right move. Strand is a lot more interesting gameplay wise, even though it would have been crazy to have a whole subclass in which it wasn't ready in time, but seeing how well designed it ended up being, it is probably the biggest asset of Lightfall. It carries the whole expansion, so it is definitely well designed. Now, on the bright side, I do think Final Shape has the real Lightfall content like originally planned. It's a shame we have to wait a whole year for it, but all the real stuff should happen in Final Shape, and hopefully it's back to that same Witch Queen quality of story. It most likely has Xivu as a main enemy, and probably also has the third Darkness subclass with it, which could be the Taken subclass to match Witherhoard and Malfeasance. The Taken power has been passed from the worm Ahkeri to Oryx to Savathun, and now Xivu, the final sister who has it. So it makes sense we would get it from her. And we've seen the Drifter can control it, so he could help us get it, and he's been very absent recently, so it makes sense he'll play a big part in Final Shape.
That's a big dubs. I hope that we get some Taken powers. The Taken are such a cool race, I guess. I mean, they're a race, but they have the same models, just different looks. But that darkness with the light coming out of the bottom, it's so beautiful.
But who knows? They could have changed it to be something completely different, like Strand was. It could be this golden pyramid energy we always see with anything.
It was on 360. I thought it was only on PC.
Now, the exact reasons for this delay and the additional expansion, we don't know, and probably never will, to be honest. It's going to be one of those behind-the-scenes things they never talk about. It's most likely they just needed more time, but it does also make sense they would want the saga to be 10 years and not 9. I mean, financially, I'm sure Bungie was not opposed to another year of great revenue, which apparently they're making more of than ever with the Eververse system and the seasonal model. So another year definitely wouldn't be opposed. One of the biggest complaints is that Lightfall costs even more than Witch Queen, which is widely seen as one of the best expansions in Destiny history, up there with Taken King and Forsaken. It is very hard to justify Lightfall costing more than Witch Queen, but Bungie pushing things back is nothing new. We saw it with Destiny 1, with Destiny 2, with Shadowkeep, with Witch Queen, and
I missed all that. I didn't get to see any of this stuff. That was pretty cool. I actually have not ever played Witch Queen. I haven't finished it yet. I need to finish it all the way through. It looks awesome.
Now Lightfall, so a lot of people are
Fortnite's
not
halfway done
updating
updating
Final Shape because obviously
it must be a huge update.
Have constantly been a thing, but let me know what you guys think this means for the Final Shape and the final chapter. Bungie has also hinted that Savathun will make a return at some point. Since Witch Queen, she is now a guardian, and of course guardians can be resurrected by their ghosts. Her ghost disappeared randomly and is about somewhere, and her body is also being
Wait. I didn't realize. Wait.
Will make a return at some point. Since Witch Queen, she is now a guardian, and of course,
That's
guardians
awesome.
can be resurrected by their ghosts. Her ghost disappeared randomly and is about somewhere, and her body is also being preserved by the Vanguard. So it's quite obvious she'll make a return and be resurrected. The same way Aramis at the end of Beyond Light didn't fully die and she came back. But the difference is she'll probably be on our side. As weird as that sounds, she is against the Witness and against her sister Xivu, so she'll definitely be an ally.
That's gonna be crazy. That is gonna be crazy having Savathun to be a ally. That's like having Frieza be a teammate to Goku. Like they might fight side by side like they did in the Tournament of Power. I don't see Savathun becoming an ally. That'd be wild.
Original races in Destiny are now on our side.
Hell yeah!
Been setting this up for
Where's my
quite a while.
flag? It's so I got a welded One Piece flag up there. I need to get it down, but I would wave that flag for you. We're pirating, baby.
You've got Keitel and the Imperial Cabal, you've got Mithrax and the House of Lightfallen, and of course Savathun with the Lucian Hive that now have the light. The Vex are just robots that will probably always be our enemies, but this is like the Avengers endgame moment against the Witness that will be the final shape. Now, something else Bungie hinted at is the return of Titan, the exact same way that in Witch Queen, the exotic glaive quest teased Neptune as Nefeli Stronghold. In Lightfall, the exotic glaive quest for Winterbite say Saturn 6 has vital information. An enemy of the Witness is on Titan. If still living, preservation is paramount. Don't waste time. So apparently we need to hurry to Titan. There is some kind of living enemy of the Witness. The first thing a lot of people thought of is the giant worm, sea creature,
yeah, that thing looks crazy.
Thing. This has been a mystery since Destiny 2's launch in 2017.
Wow.
It makes sense for something for Bungie to return, as they're clearly doing a lot of tying up of loose ends, taking mystery characters that have been...
I can't wait to find out what that thing is. It's been like that's been one of the biggest, like he said, biggest mysteries to the Destiny community since the launch of Destiny 2. A lot of people speculated it was like a worm god for like Oryx and whatnot, but just to find out what it is, if it's even if it's just a sea creature of that planet, I want to know.
Been kind of speculated about for a while, and giving them a huge payoff and making them come full circle like Nezarec. So it could be the giant sea creature that looks exactly like the worm gods is one of the worm gods who we know are yet to make an appearance, whether some of them still alive. We know we're getting new dungeons, so it would make sense as a dungeon boss similar to Zol, but not as a pushover campaign boss. And we also saw the planet encounter in the new raid where we get to move planets around. This is pretty cool because obviously it's the room that we saw the witness in this famous cutscene. We know that he has the power to move planets, and is apparently the reason why we got those planets removed in the first place. They're covered in darkness. And also the Witch Queen, the Truth and Lies game, they said that we'll soon gain the ability to move planets ourselves. So this does...
I love that they're tying up such loose ends. Yeah, the ability to move planets and be in the room where you can move planets, it's awesome. I never thought that we would be able to go from just rummaging around on the face of, you know, different planets and flying around to moving the actual planets. The Guardians are getting strong.
Seem to be that maybe we'll get to move Titan and make it return from the content vault. A super far out theory is that it could be Oryx on Titan, as his body did famously float off into Saturn's rings. It has always been speculated that his body could have landed on Titan. And also in that Truth and Lies game, Savathun did say the Taken King will rise again. So it's an unlikely theory. She could have been lying.
I didn't realize there was so... Man, Destiny has so many... so much foreshadowing. Like, the vaulting of the content, the planets, and then bringing them back and having these guys like in the shadows. It feels almost like a One Piece anime. How much there is in the story. It's cool. It's not just getting there, loot and shoot.
About that, but it does seem like he's dead, and he probably wouldn't be an enemy of the Witness, but a worm being this Leviathan creature seems more likely. Something else interesting is that Bungie released this concept art of the infamous veil, one of the most confusing things in Destiny history that was apparently super important. It wasn't shown off super well in the cutscene. You can't really see it. It just looks like this giant weird ball thing and this purple vortex. But here you can see what it actually looks like, and it's kind of like an hourglass that's been mentioned a lot in the campaign.
But Lily was feeding and she bit her for the first time.
Half of it is dark with the same texture as those darkness liquid walls that you can see on the Witness's pyramid. And the multicolored bit is the same as the portal that he opened in front of the Traveler. The light half is similar to the trees that you can see the Traveler make in the raid and back on the Cradle on Io. Those kind of silver wing trees. But it also explains that this is the symbol for Neomuna. As you can see, it's this hourglass of light, and of course the whole city is built around it. It's the power source. There's also this early concept art of Nezarec, which looked really cool.
Hold on, let's look at that. Okay. I haven't actually seen what Nezarec itself looks like, but I mean, you can tell by the thingies, but yeah, this is sexy. Curled up, encased in the cocoon. Cocoon melts away, close to her shoulders. Yeah, that's awesome. Chimera. I like the multiple thumbs thing for the Chimera trait. That's so sick.
Kind of like this demon Grim Reaper with a similar rock design. I would admit these do look a bit better than the actual final game version. There have been a lot of memes around him not looking too You may have also noticed how his eyes are specifically different colors. They look pretty significant.
Yeah.
They could be similar to how Rolk's eyes had those symbols for Eris and the Stranger that we talked about before. Some people thought they could represent elements, classes, or maybe planets, but the artist says here that it's heterochromia and is the eyes of different species because he's a chimera. Another pretty cool Easter egg can be found in the opening cutscene. You can see these Guardians that get diced up by the Witness. They were basically...
I think he's going to say it, but those are the Guardians from the original trailers of the very first game. Like, those are the OG Guardians.
Sacrifice. These three are actually significant. These aren't just random Guardians. You might have noticed their armor. These are the same three that were in the original Destiny 1 trailer. So they're very famous, and they're in the Vault of Glass cinematic for Curse of Osiris. They're definitely significant characters that have been following us this whole journey, but they got killed by the Witness in the opening cutscene. So it's a cool throwback. At the same time, I don't really know what these three were hoping to accomplish with Amanda going after the Witness. He's like the most powerful enemy ever, but apparently they were going to try and kill him with these standard ships. But Either way, it's a cool detail that Bungie deliberately added into this cutscene to kind of commemorate the OG Guardians. I do want to know in the comments what you guys think of Lightfall overall. I will be reading all the comments as usual, but it's been a very mixed one. On one hand, it returned to Destiny 1 level of storytelling, and everyone seemed to notice immediately.
Yeah.
The campaign didn't seem to fit, but at the same time, Strand, I think, is one of the best designed
It's
subclasses
fun.
we've ever seen, and the game overall is in a very polished state. The mods and the builds I love. There's a ton of quality of life changes that just make the game better. So depending on what you want out of Destiny, a lot of people are mixed. I can imagine if you don't care at all about the campaign and you skip the cutscenes, you probably didn't even notice the issues with the story. So it depends who you ask. If you made it this far, a like rating
cool
before you go would be hugely appreciated. And you can
That must
click
be
on
for
this
the raid,
video
'cause I haven't
to
seen
watch my
that.
latest podcast episode with Bife, where we talk all.
Yeah, that was a good video. He had some pretty cool things to talk about. I miss Destiny 1 too, dude. Destiny 1, I don't want to say it was better than Destiny 2, but Destiny 2 is not better than Destiny 1. I'll tell you that right now. I'll be the first to say that. But like for the gear, for instance, I've seen people talk about it, and I've said this since Destiny 2 came out. In Destiny 1, you got to become what you killed. Like when you killed an enemy, you got to take that guy's shoulder plate or his arm and you put it on yourself, and you got that armor. Like you became what you killed. In Destiny 2, you have more like astronaut jackets and just it looks like more human crafted things for the Guardians. It looks like in Destiny 1, you are going out and you are acquiring things from the monsters you killed and slayed before you, and making yourself a menace to the foes that you're rushing towards. But what was I gonna say? Yeah, he brought up some really cool points. I liked the video overall. I really hope that we get to see that Taken subclass with the last strand. Hopefully, this next year will kind of tie into things more with the seasons and the stories throughout the year. But when the last stand comes out, I'm sure that we're gonna get a lot more content. Like he said in the video. What's this guy's name? Let me put this in the chat just so you know. I think it's just you right now, but it's if you want to go like the video, it has 10,000 likes. I don't think us two will do much, but 824,000 subscribers. Destiny unknown player. That was a good video. Very much enjoyed it. Yeah. Clipped that. Or you don't have to clip that. I mean, I was recording that the whole time, so that will be the first reaction for the channel. Haha. Let's go back to full cam. Dubskis.